Hey brother, welcome to day 9 of following Jesus. So yesterday we saw that when the early disciples started to follow Jesus, there was an attraction to him. There was a magnetism. There was something about his person. And then they began to discover it's not only his personality, and nice to be around a guy like this who seems to have a direction and a mission in life. They began to behold him not only for what they saw, but what they experienced. They were astonished at his teaching. They were amazed at the miracles that he did. And as they followed him, they were more and more amazed at the power that God had given to Jesus. But now there's something else that we need to see in beholding Jesus. And that is something that is unlike any other attribute we could describe in a human being. And that is his holiness. You know, when the scripture describes a God who is holy in Isaiah chapter 6, it says, holy, holy, holy. It's the only attribute of God that is described into the third degree. How holy? Well, it's holy, holy. Well, how holy, holy is God? Well, the only other word you can do is to stack up another holy. Holy, holy, holy. And as you walk through the book of Mark, here's how the disciples beheld the holiness of Jesus. In chapter 4, verse 41, they were on the sea, and Jesus was asleep in the boat. And remember, he woke up, and they were afraid because of the tempest and the waves. And then he calmed the sea. And here's what it says. And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, who then is this that even the winds and the sea obey him? They were even more afraid after he settled the storm. In chapter 9, verse 6, at the Transfiguration, Elijah and Moses are there, and Jesus is there. And it says of them, when they saw what was happening, they were terrified. Remember the occasion when Peter had caught a great deal of fish, and because Jesus had come to him, and Peter had said, listen, I fished all night and caught nothing. Jesus said, go out one more time and cast down your net. And Peter caught so many fish that his boat almost sank. And here's what it says. Here's was his response. It wasn't a fisherman's response of taking a selfie with the biggest fish or the great catch that he had. Here's what he said to Jesus, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord. It was the response of a desperate soul in the presence of someone wholly other and different, the holiness of God. You see, this is the effect that holiness has on us when we beheld him and when we behold him today. Here's what R.C. Sproul said in his very classic book, The Holiness of God. The disciples' fear increased after the threat of the storm was removed. The storm made them afraid. Jesus' action to still the tempest made them even more afraid. In the power of Christ, they met something more frightening than they'd ever met in nature. They were in the presence of the holy. We will never invent a holy God. We'll invent a God who's angry that we can placate. We'll invent a God who's loving that we can have a great time with, but we'll never invent a God who's holy. But the scripture says that Jesus comes in the holiness of the Father. And when we behold him, we worship him. And what this requires is two things. Number one, an intervention by God to save us from his white-hot holiness. And that's what Jesus provided on the cross. And secondly, we need humility to bow before him, to be his subject, to worship him in his holiness. So today, take some time, find a quiet place, get away, take a walk, and just behold the holiness of Jesus. God bless you.